Hello, today I'll be talking about building and serving agentic graphs with LangGraph agents. There will be two agents to cover, a simple tool calling agent and another one with helpfulness evaluation loop. I will explain how they work, a limitation I found, and why LangGraph Studio matters for debugging. So how the agents work. The first one is the simple agent. As you can see, user runs a query. The agents decide whether to call a tool or answers directly. And if the tool is selected, then it grabs the answer from the tool. Otherwise, it will just terminate. So let's see how it works. We'll ask LangGraph about how are people using AI. As you can see, it entered the question. The agent retrieved the information from the RAG in this case, the retrieve information, and it just passed it to the agent, and it replied back. Now here's the other agent we built, the one with helpfulness. In this case, the query gets in, the agent receives it, checks if it has to ask for any tool or if it can return an answer with its own knowledge. If there's a tool, it gets the answer from the tool, pass it to the agent validates it with the helpfulness. If the helpfulness says it's not okay, then pass it back to the agent until it is okay with a limit of 10 messages. And then if everything is okay, it will end the execution, or if it is not okay because it reached the limit of 10 messages, it will end the execution as well. So now let's ask the same question here. As you can see, the question came in, the answer receives the query, checks the RAG, checks if RAG has the answer, RAG returns an answer, pass it back to the agent pass it to the helpfulness, and helpfulness says, yes, this is okay. But now let's make a quick experiment here. Let's say the agent actually replied with something like, the answer is 42. Let's see what happens. We can see the agent passing that answer to the helpfulness saying, no, that's not a good answer, passing back to the agent, helpfulness replies again, and this continues until this reaches the 10 message limit that we have configured. But if you think of this, it's something interesting is happening here. Whenever the helpfulness says no, it returns back to the agent. The agent replies with the same answer. The helpfulness says no again, and it comes back with the same answer. It is never contacting the tools. It is never calling the tools in order to get a brand new answer to pass it to the helpfulness. So this is very interesting. It's definitely something that I would like to experiment more in the future. But yeah, it's something interesting I found. Now let's experiment with interrupt. So let's add an interrupt for before on helpfulness and an interrupt for agent on after to see how we can modify the questions here. So let's ask the same question. The question will be, how are people using AI? As you can see now, it is asking me to continue with the action. Say yes. And now the helpfulness received the question about people using AI in some way. So, but let's do something real quick here. Let's actually change this for something like, I love surfing. So first of all, the helpfulness says, no, that's not a good answer. And the AI replies back with that same message, but now saying, hey, that's great. Surfing is an exciting and enjoyable activity, blah, blah, blah. So now actually, let's say continue to see what happens. And the agent does the same thing as we just previously described. But now let's provide an actual answer of how people are using AI. And in this case, helpfulness actually finds that useful and finish the execution. So to wrap this up, when are we using before interrupts? This is to modify or validate the inputs before a node executes. And when are we using after interrupts is when we want to modify the outputs after a node completes. So one is a preventive control, the other one is a corrective control. Thank you very much for paying attention. This is all I have for you today. The code is going to be in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.